Welcome to Sovereign Alignment, The Awakening.
Claim your power to create your own reality. Be empowered to manifest your dream and live in a vibrant, healthy body.
Join us for this podcast every week for support and inspiration. All right, welcome to our channel, Sovereign Alignment. Today we are going to be discussing predictions and how sometimes the subjects change, that the timeline changes, they don't come true, or maybe they do or not in the same time frame, all of that. So make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel so that you get all of our information that we're putting out there right now. We're just so happy to be here helping you navigate this timeline. So today, why don't we start with predictions? So we know that there's so many people out there doing predictions on what's happening in the world, and we'll start with that. And then we'll go more into you having readings and that kind of thing. But just starting with what's going on in the world, I know that I'm following people that have given us timelines on what they believe is going to happen and when, and then it doesn't happen, and everybody's getting upset. And it's like,
right.
Let's talk a little bit more about what that really is and how we can navigate all of those predictions. A lot of us, base our life depending upon, but that's going to happen this time, and this is going to happen this time, and we got to prepare for this. And
everybody wants to know what's coming next. What do I need to get ready for? What do I need to prepare for? What should I do now? Because they want to know. They want some predictability. They want some stability. They want to know what's coming next in the world so they can prepare themselves and not be surprised or taken off guard. And that's a really human response, I think.
Yeah, I think we all want that to some extent, because we just like to know. But this goes back to us really going inward and looking within inside of us. What does it make us feel? So do we feel when we have someone tell us, this is going to happen on this date? How do you feel about it? How does it feel in your body? Do you resonate with that? And, we've talked about timelines before, and there's many timelines, right? So you can actually pick your highest trajectory timeline. On that timeline, what do you want to experience? Do you want to experience what they're saying, the doom, the gloom, and all of that? Or do you want to experience bliss? It is part of the choice as we're looking at how predictions work.
Yep, absolutely.
When
I get a prediction from someone or hear a prediction from someone, whether it's my guides or whether it's another human, I always take it inside and how does it make me feel? Does it make me feel better? Does it make me feel worse than right now? And if it makes me feel worse than right now, or fearful, or anxious, or scared, or whatever, I kind of let it go. It's not for me. That's not where I want to go. That's not where I want to spend my time and energy thinking about. That's not where I want to send my life. So it doesn't mean that I ignore it completely. It kind of sits there. It's information. It's more information, and it's all fine. But I try very hard not to dwell on it, because what you dwell on is what you're going to bring more of.
Well, yeah, it's what you're creating.
Yeah.
So that brings us into when you have readings and predictions, and things that they tell you that are going to happen. Now, we know that some of those things do happen. But then there's those things that don't, or they may happen in a different time frame than what we've been told. Here's why I don't like doing readings, because they actually are in the now. It's in this very moment. You could walk out my door or away from my reading, and you could do something totally different than what was on that timeline at that very moment and change everything.
Yep.
So it is when you're getting a reading, make sure that you know that it is in this moment, because
Absolutely.
things can change immediately. All you do is make a different decision and everything changes.
Yep.
So
When
just
I do readings, it's always, I'm looking at the most likely outcome. And sometimes the most likely outcome is only a 75% chance,
right.
but it's still the most likely outcome. And you can see how if anybody along that path makes a different choice or a different thought or a different decision, it changes. And all of a sudden you're shifted over into that 25% really fast. And you don't even necessarily know, because you're looking out. You're not projecting a path, you're looking out. And a lot can happen between here and here. And so that's mostly why I don't like to do a lot of predictions. I do a lot for myself. I do a lot for my family and my kids, because we understand that it's the most likely outcome. It doesn't mean it's positively going to happen in the 2-week time frame that we talked about, or in the 1 month time we talked about. And also, if it didn't happen in that 2 weeks, doesn't mean it's never going to happen. There are a certain number of things that need to go in between here and here. In order for this to come true, there are certain things that need to happen along the way in order for this to come true. So it's just about traveling along that timeline. And anytime you change, whoop, now you're going this way, because the decision was made differently. So it's about the energy work. It's about shifting your frequency. It's about moving for your greatest joy, your greatest good. Sometimes I notice that something will not happen at the time it was supposed to. I still get information that, yeah, it's going to happen. Yep. It's just not time yet. It's not time yet. It's not time yet. So I keep asking questions for my guides about, why is it not time yet? Why does that happen? You tell me something is in 2 weeks, and yet we're 3 weeks in and I still don't see it, but you keep telling me that it's going to happen. It's because I didn't do the work to get there. I didn't take all the necessary steps to get there, or the world, my community, my family, right? The world hasn't done the work to get to that place at that time. Doesn't mean they won't get there. It just means they're not there yet. Again, it's the most likely outcome at the most likely time. Doesn't mean there are no other options.
Well, and I think too, there is a collective energy that's happening as well. So
Yes.
if something's not happening, it might not be you. It
Yes.
could be that the collective is not ready, or I've heard my guides say before that they're not ready yet. The people aren't ready yet.
Right.
And we're like,
Yes.
all ready to go. And they keep saying, well, the people aren't ready yet.
Yeah.
So it's just knowing that it's out there. I think my biggest thing for me is that I can see way far into the future.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's detrimental, because I'm like, well, why isn't it happening now? Why isn't it happening now? I can see it. It's there. Why is it happening now? Because I can see so far out that I'm seeing things that might be 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Yep.
And so now I know that, so I can understand it a little bit better, and I can break it down a little bit more and go, okay, so what do I need to be doing right now?
Right. Until then.
Right. And if we go back to like card pull, right? So, we do card pulls in the group, right? And they're more of like, what do you need to know right now? It's in this moment right now. So it should resonate with you in this moment. Now that could change an hour from then, 2 hours from then, a day from then, a week from then. But it's just, they're there to help you make decisions. So knowing what you know, what decision will you make?
So how about an example? I'll give you an example of seeing what it's like to see so far out. About 15 years ago, I realized that I was supposed to be a naturopath. I knew in my heart, 100%, I just had to do this. It was a drive. It was a need. But my guides kept saying, it's not time yet. Like, all right, fine. So what can I do in the meantime that would support that goal? Well, I got yoga teacher training. Super. When I was done with yoga teacher training and started teaching, I'm like, okay, is it time now? And they're like, no, it's not time yet. Okay, it's still out there, and I don't know when, but it's still out there, and it's a long ways out there, right? And so I did Reiki training, and after I was done with that, I'm like, okay, is it time yet? They're like, no, it's not time yet. But you can start if you want to. Like, okay, I can start school, right? I can start learning, I can start. So I just kind of piddled through it and took classes here and there, did what I needed to do, did lots of research, read lots of books, did all the podcasts, right? As much information as I could cram into my head, I did. Anything that would support that ultimate goal of becoming a naturopath. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they said, I wasn't done with school yet, by the way. They said, it's time, be done now. I'm like, oh, okay, I had like 4 classes left or 5 classes left. So all of a sudden I condensed them and I crammed them all in as soon as I can, because you want to take advantage of divine timing as much as you can. So I crammed them all in and I got them all done as fast as I could and finished when I was supposed to finish. But I knew 15 years before that this is what I was supposed to do. And every decision, every step that I took between then and when I was done supported my goal, even though I didn't know when that was going to happen. Every class I took, every training I took, every certification I got, all was leading toward and supporting my ultimate goal of becoming a naturopath. And I had no idea when that was going to happen. It seems really weird that it's going to happen at 45, right? Most people are not really starting a brand new career at 45.
Right.
But divine timing said, that's when you need to do it. So I did.
It's kind of too like when people kind of heard me talk about my heart and how that transformed, but I was in my early 30s sitting in church one day, and a woman that was 50 had just started playing the harp, and she happened to be playing that day in church. And I said, I'm going to play the harp when I'm 50. And I know my husband must have thought I was crazy, because they're just like, this is what you're going to do. And I'm like, okay. Never really thought about it much after that, other than I knew that. I start to get close to 50 and they're like, you need to get your harp now. And I'm like, what? You need to get your harp. I'm like, so I told my husband, I said, I need to get my harp. He's like, really? You're going to do this? And I'm like, yeah, this is what I've been told to do. And that's just how I knew for 20 years before that.
Right.
Same thing with my retreat center. They had told me 15 years ago that you're going to have a retreat center. I had pictures of it in my head, what it looks like. It's like, so it's starting to transform, but not always does it look exactly like what we envision it to be, because again, things are always shifting and morphing and changing. So it's just being open to the idea that this is coming and basically letting it go and let it just flow into your experience.
I think that's a really key point, and it's very difficult to do, is the let it go, right? To set up something in the future and let it go. The more you try to control the process between here and there, the more you try to force it or push it or hurry it up, or right, the more you try to control it, the less likely it is going to happen. That let it go part is huge, and it's really difficult.
I think it is for everyone to be able to just, but that's part of manifestation too. It's, you have to be able to envision it and then simply let it go and let it flow in. That's open to receiving. That's a whole nother course on its own. But
it is. But then it'll come in better than you could have imagined.
Yes.
If you let it go, the universe will provide in abundance better than you could have imagined it. If you try to control it, you will end up with something lesser.
Yeah, lesser than what you could have. And we all know that we want more of what is best for us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we got to let go of the fact that we think we know what's best for us, because really we don't. We need to let divine guidance come in and show us what's best for us. But it's in that moment of allowing that happens. So if you're not experiencing what you want in your life, a lot of it has to do with your thoughts and what you're allowing into your experience. If you think it has to be a certain way, it's not going to happen that way.
Mm-mm.
You have to allow it in, and it might, but it is how much are you allowing it to happen that way?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of variables there.
Mm-hmm.
So back to readings and timing. A lot of what's going on in the universe right now is there's a lot of timelines being played out. So when somebody has a prediction, they on in that moment that is on that timeline.
Yeah.
But something can shift to move us all as a collective to a different timeline. And it's just like all the things, there's so many working cogs out there that are making things happen that we just kind of have to go with the flow and allow whatever's happening and use your intuition, because that is your guidance system. There is no one out there that can tell you anything. Your guidance system, yours, is what you need to follow, because that's what's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that matters. It's like, what is best for you? Because what's best for me may not be the best for Melissa.
Correct.
So you have to go inward, and you really got to feel into that. And that's what all this is about, is opening you up to remembering who you are, why you're here, and how to follow that guidance system. You will never go wrong. You can't. If you're following it, everything just flows. You also have to believe that everything is always working out in its divine perfection.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think I want to conclude with that whole thing is that take readings not so seriously. Take them as a guide, but then feel into it. Is it this feel right for me? And not all psychics are right on, dead on.
No.
So
no, because when we make a prediction, even if it's for ourselves, it's based in our own understanding.
Yes.
Right. So if I'm making a prediction for, say, I don't know, somebody that I just met, right? They're asking me for what's going to happen next month, what's going to happen, right? I can see it based on my frame of reference. And it might not necessarily be identical to their frame of reference, but my guides and my guardians need to give me the information in a method that I'm going to understand it enough to communicate it to them.
Yeah.
So they're going to show me images and pictures and thoughts and words that I can understand and communicate. Doesn't mean that that's not how that person would understand and communicate. Right? So if I would make a prediction about a retreat center, right? It's going to look different in my head than it looks to you. Which one's right? Both.
Right.
Right? I'm going to tell somebody, oh, they're going to have a baby and it's going to look like this. You can't really, unless you know both parents, you can't really do that because it's based in my frame of reference so I can explain it to them. So having predictions for yourself are always way more accurate than receiving predictions from someone else's experience.
Well, and when you say that just because somebody predicts something's supposed to go a certain way, you have the free will to change that trajectory.
Absolutely.
So even though, say someone says you're going to die at 80, right, you can believe that.
Yep.
Or you can say no. You can reject it and say that's not true. Something is happening that I am going to be healthy, or whatever it is, that will live longer. You can change that.
Well, how many people have gotten a cancer diagnosis and their doctor said it's going to be 2 years and you're going to be dead, and they believe it so wholeheartedly that they just start manifesting that.
Right.
When they could have changed their beliefs, their structure, their environment, their food, their medicine, right? They could have done things to impact that 2-year time frame in a huge way. But they have brought in that information and they believe it. And so it will come true.
So I think there's some validity there. There's also, would you believe that there is sometimes that is their contract that they are to experience?
Yes. Sometimes they need to be through that. They need to go through that fear.
Right. It's all there for a purpose. I mean, we're all here learning lessons. And if we can understand that and that we are eternal beings, then this is just fun. We can just have fun living this life because we are creators. And we get to create it however we want if we choose it.
Right. This is a ton of fun.
And that's
so much fun. I can't even tell you how much fun it is.
Right. Well, yeah, because they've taught us, because we've been in enslavement, they've taught us that it's not okay, that we're not supposed to have fun. We're not supposed to be joyful. We're not supposed to be communing. We're all of that. I mean, you're seeing it play out in the world right now.
So, the one that I love is you're not powerful.
Yeah.
That power thing. That's one of the biggest lies people have been taught.
Yeah. Because we are very powerful.
To change it.
Yeah. So let's give them some action items on how to take in other people's predictions. So what would you suggest?
I guess we've talked about it all along, and it's listen, right? In that moment, listen to the prediction, realize that it's coming from someone else's perspective, and they will interpret things differently than you may interpret things, right? Doesn't mean it's not true, doesn't mean it's not right, but then bring that information into your heart and sit with it for a little bit. How does this make me feel? Do I like it? Do I not like it? Does it feel good? Can I get on board with that? Right? Can I support that? Can I take action steps to make that happen? Or it's just more information. I'll just file it in the nether regions and let it go.
Well, and here's something for you. My question would be, why are you asking for a reading?
Excellent question. Yeah.
For me, if I do it, it's for validation. I already know.
Yeah, it's to confirm what I already know.
Right. But why are you
for entertainment purposes? Really, for me, it's entertainment purposes.
But if you're looking for answers outside of you, then you need to really go in and do the inward work, because the answers are here.
Yep.
They're not in any of us telling you what is going to happen or what, they're all here. All of your answers lie here. And sometimes we're always looking outside to easy fix or, a quick answer. And all we really need to do is just tune in. And those answers are right there. It's great to do it, to go out, have fun, confirm what you already know. Yeah. I mean, it's all fun to do that stuff.
Well, and it's interesting to know what other people think about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I find that entertaining just in and of itself, just to see what do other people think, what do they feel is going to happen.
Right.
It's just entertainment. It's not really, it doesn't change who I am or what I'm going to do.
Right. Now, I love that. I love all of that. If you have any questions regarding this stuff, please post it below in the comments and we can address it. Is there anything else you want to tell them today?
I think that's fantastic. So one fun way to make your own predictions. We did a video on muscle testing. Go back and look at it, right? Plot out your timeline. What do you want to happen in your life? And then you start asking those yes or no questions. The other fun way to do it is think about, and this is part of that video also, that flow, no flow. When I sit and, because a lot of people can't hear or see their guides. Okay, they don't get movies played in their heads like I do. They don't get that kind of direct, concrete information. So it's more about flow, no flow, good feel, no feel. So when you're thinking about what's going to happen next week, so plant it out there. Is my family coming to visit me? Right? I mean, it can be something super simple. It doesn't have to be any grand thing. And then sit with that question, close your eyes, and feel your body. Is it a flow or a no flow? Is it a good or a bad? Right? That's going to be your answer. Or muscle test it. Yes or no? Is it going to be there?
Yep.
And that's a fun way to start making your own predictions for your life.
And it really does. The more that you use that, the more that you become confident in it.
Yes.
And it just becomes a reliable tool that you just use for everything.
Yes.
And you no longer need to go outside of you.
Right. So go back and watch that video. That's a fun one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today. It is always a pleasure. We love talking to you. And if you have any ideas for videos, post them below and we will address them as well. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. See you soon.
Bye.